Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Will here with another podcast I think you're gonna love. Mother, She Wrote is a multi-genre podcast all about beloved, moving, and deeply influential game Earthbound, or Mother as it's called in Japan. Blending audio drama and nonfiction deep dive, Mother, She Wrote doesn't just look into the themes and craft of the game, it puts you right into the mood and feel of the game. Here's the trailer, and you can find the podcast in our show notes or at mothershewrote.earth.
It happened in the quiet town of Podunk, an ages-old family mystery.
What happened with Great-Grandpa? Why won't you talk about it?
Because there's nothing to say, Ninten.
Begets an unprecedented paranormal event.
Help, brother!
Poltergeists.
My lamp attacked me. It was hovering in the air. It unplugged itself and came at me.
Mind control.
Why is that crow smoking a cigarette?
Okay, we're playing inside today.
Zombies.
I could have gotten out of here on my own.
You were hiding in a coffin.
It was a good disguise.
Extraterrestrials.
You've seen them too? I've been observing them for days.
I beat up aliens with my baseball bat.
Children with psychokinetic powers.
I let that little light of mine shine, Mama, and it melted the darkness away.
And that's just the beginning.
Introducing Mother, She Wrote, a travelogue diary through the biggest cult phenomena in video game history, the Mother series, as it's called in Japan, and Earthbound, as it's called everywhere else.
Each episode, we recount the story through immersive audio drama as it's lived by the characters, unpacking the surreal adventures, tear-jerking moments, and what it all means.
If you're new to the series, we'll take you beyond the controller and into the story.
And if you're a longtime fan, relive these tales like never before and learn fascinating new facts about your favorite games.
Find Mother, She Wrote on your favorite podcast player and at mothershewrote.earth.
Welcome to How to Act Fereldan, your audiofield guide to all things Dragon Age. I am one of your hosts, Will. And today my Dragon Age, purple? I think purple.
Okay.
I'm having a weird one. For those who don't know.
First thought, best thought, do not explain.
Uh-huh.
You're so fucking right. Okay, Anne, go ahead.
I am Anne, and my Dragon Age is... Hey, Will, first thought, best not, do not explain. How many suns and moons does Thetis have?
Oh, fuck. 3. 3.
Okay, that's my Dragon Age.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think that's right.
Hello, I am Giancarlo, and today my Dragon Age is 173.
Oh, what a nice sounding number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. This is our podcast where we talk about Dragon Age and BioWare and things like that. And before we get into our main conversation today, which is going to be led by Anne, I'm going to talk about magic and stuff, we have like a shit ton of news. It's been a little while since we've recorded. As always, we are not uploading this podcast in real time. We are recording in advance, so like don't expect breaking news here. None of this is breaking.
No, you've shattered the illusion.
The illusion is only unshattered for people who are curious enough about Dragon Age to listen to this podcast, but not curious enough to like ever even look at a headline for any article about the series. So we've got some general EA and BioWare news, and then we've got some specific Dragon Age news. I'm just going to go in order of when I saw these articles, so like vaguely chronological. So first, this one is very silly. BioWare announced some merch that was
Yes.
absolutely fucking inexplicable. It was a figure, it was a statue, and it's of Shepard, who is the player character of the Mass Effect series. And the statue was when we are reintroduced to Shepard in the second game. Notably, Shepard's fucking dead, floating in space. Sorry for the spoiler, but it's not really. Like, I know this is going to sound kind of silly, but it's like vaguely inconsequential. Also, the game's been out for a really long time. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. So they announced this statue, which is straight up Shepard floating dead in space. And then people were like, hey, what the fuck? And so they pulled it because they were like, maybe this is kind of distasteful.
Can I be controversial?
Yes,
Please.
If I collected these kinds of things, I would absolutely have bought that.
Yeah, no question.
I absolutely would have bought this if I played Mass Effect.
It's so funny.
I would have bought it and then put it in like my freezer so that whenever someone went in to grab something.
I think it's hilarious. I think that they absolutely should have kept it. They were like, I think the issue here is that they didn't know that it was really fucking funny. They were trying to like be reverent, and that does not come across. It's just really funny. A stupid Dragon Age news stupid BioWare news that'll probably be forgotten soon enough, but lives forever in my heart, unlike Shepard, who was fucking dead. Next piece of news, Space Lab 9, which runs merch, including a lot of vinyl records, announced stunning, absolutely stunning, massive bundle 4 LP vinyl box set of the Dragon Age music. I would say comes with a shirt and a turntable slip mat and all this other shit, but it's super sold out. But Anne,
Yeah.
you got it.
I got it. I did not get the one with the slip mat and the shirt.
Mhm.
Only because I was like, oh, I don't need to spend that much money on it.
Right.
It was already like, oh, this is going to be like $80. I don't know. I don't need to spend $150 to also get a shirt that I'm probably not going to wear, you know?
Next piece of news is a big one that I don't really understand. So EA Entertainment has, I guess, split into EA Games and EA Sports. I'm gonna read off.
No, other way around. EA Entertainment, EA Games is splitting into entertainment and sports.
Okay.
It was always EA Games challenge everything.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've opened up Sims 3 that crashed enough times to hear that intro.
Yeah. I'm going to read some of this piece from Rock, Paper, Shotgun by Oshin Kyunke, because, again, I don't really know what the fuck this means. This paragraph reads, EA are cutting themselves down the middle, with EA Games and EA Sports now making up 2 separate units, and the former getting a rebrand. From now on, EA Games will be known as EA Entertainment, which doesn't really have as good a ring to it. No one's going to be quoting, it's in the entertainment anytime soon, are they? The name change does imply a broader expansion into more than just games, but it's obviously a bit of a wait-and-see kind of situation until EA show off something that isn't a video game.
I thought of something immediately that they're doing, that I know they're doing, that's not a video game. They're working with
Dragon Age show?
Maybe. The Dragon Age TV show, right.
Right.
But also the Dead Space podcast that Bloody
is making.
Right.
Oh my God. I didn't even include that. Yeah. I would say not necessarily friend of the pod, but friend of the us. Pacific Obadiah is making a Dead Space podcast. They have worked on SCP Archives. They have worked on Mayfair Watcher Society and the Bloody Disgusting Network. They are a gem and we adore them. And they're making a fucking Dead Space audio drama and it's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see that being one of the first things they're branching out into. It's going to be on the Cineverse podcast network, which I've never heard of before, but like, fine. That's, I'm sure, part of the rebrand. It would include that.
Yeah. There's some other discussions in this post about like people changing to different positions and what have you. All of this sounds like things where we won't really understand what they mean in the long run until much later. However, I do think it foreshadows a piece of news. BioWare laid off a ton of people.
Ooh.
Of course they did.
So when I hear of like structural changes in a large corporation, I always expect layoffs, and layoffs, in fact, did come shortly after. So specifically, these are layoffs within the SWTOR team, the Star Wars The Old Republic. Star Wars The Old Republic is a long-running MMO, very, very beloved, and basically management of it is being taken away from BioWare and to a third-party studio called Broadsword Online Games. I am not an MMO person. If I see a real human, alive person in a video game that I am playing, I quit immediately. I don't like it. I hardly like playing normal games with people I know. But this company, it seems like they've worked on quite a lot. And this post is from IGN by Wesley Yin Poole. I'm going to quote a section here because I think it's very interesting and strange. The agreement sees SWTOR handed over to current Ultima Online and Dark Age of Camelot developer Broadsword Online, which is run by former Mythic Entertainment co-founder and BioWare VP Rob Denton, who previously worked on SWTOR in its early days. So it's like still BioWare adjacent and going back into the hands of somebody who worked on it in an earlier stage of its development.
Yeah.
Which we've seen also similarly with Dragon Age 4, with David Gator is being brought back onto, I guess, like polishing of DA4 to make sure that it like makes sense in the continuity, which is a massive red flag.
That can tie into the next news topic.
Yeah. God, what a tangled fucking mess. So since we last recorded, I am now getting Google alerts for Dragon Age, which means I'm going to be like really up their ass for everything they do as we record. And it seems like this historically very messy company has continued to be messy. Next piece of news, tying off of that, is David Gator took to Twitter to talk about some issues in writing a magic system. This article I'm reading from comes from Games Radar by Jasmine Gold Wilson. And in it, and this will also tie to our larger conversation here.
I loved reading this.
In David Gator's thread, he talks about a, quote, long-term headache when you try for a magic system that is loose, and he talks about something that he is calling the lyrium problem. The concept here is that if you have a magic thingy, what he calls a narrative crack filler, whether it's an item or an ability or some energy, if you have something that is a bit of a Swiss Army knife, then the longer you write, the more you run into issues where it's like, well, why wouldn't you just use this thing to fix this thing? Like it causes a lot of potential plot holes where you need narrative tension, you need obstacles, and if you have this magic catch-all, it kind of nullifies that.
AKA why the Doctor loses his sonic screwdriver like every 2 or 3 episodes.
Right.
Right, because it can fix everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get this. I'm sure that we will talk about this in larger conversation. I am very much a squishy magic system person, but you do have to worry about the stakes and not creating plot holes with things like that. So I do think it's really interesting that while being brought on to help finish Dragon Age 4, David Gator is publicly tweeting about issues he's made for himself in writing.
It's like he came back on to work on Dragon Age 4, and whoever was working on it before was like, why didn't we just use lyrium? And he's like, you can't just use it for everything.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
But you shouldn't.
We can't do that. And he's like, oh my God, I've realized I've created this monster.
We've got 2 more pieces of sort of just like miscellaneous news I want to talk about before we get on to our other sections. So first off, a former BioWare big person is working on a new game. This is Casey Hudson, the director for KOTOR, which is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah. He is now working on a game that is being developed in the Unreal Engine. He is working on an independent studio called Humanoid Studios. It's going to be a new IP. This news comes from Xputer this was written by Matthew Toledo, and it looks like people are basically mining information through job postings at Humanoid, which I think is really smart. I have done similar things in journalism, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Again, I'm not like an MMO person, and because this person has worked on KOTOR, it's probably going to be an MMO. I would imagine. But we'll
KOTOR is not an MMO actually, unless they also have an MMO.
Yeah, I don't think it was an MMO.
It's actually a really great like narrative Star Wars game. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Old Republic, and then there's Knights of the Old Republic, which is what I thought you were talking about when you said the Old Republic, and then you said MMO, and I was like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. Star Wars The Old Republic is the MMO. Knights of the Old Republic is a story-based game.
We love our galactic conflicts.
Why do they name these games like
It's
this?
Star Wars, Will. I don't know what you want out of them. It's freaking Star Wars. Their own canonical movies don't make sense, okay? No. Despite everything, Palpatine returned, Will.
And the only way to hear his speech was in Fortnite.
Oy.
Palpatine is actually a 14-year-old boy.
Last one I've got for us is just like sort of a like compilation piece of a few different like fun facts. It is all cut content in Dragon Age Inquisition Explained. This comes from Game Rant by Jessica Barnes. We've talked about a lot of these things before, but one of the items that I forgot was cut. I'm going to be really cagey about this. There is one specific choice you can make at the end of Inquisition that I think would have really far-reaching effects on the world. You get to... No.
Oh, huh.
Mm-mm.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think you can reveal this without like just super spoiling everything.
Yeah, there's no way to phrase this. We're gonna link it.
I'm so scared. Do you want me to take my headphones off?
No. We just won't talk about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You'll know it when you see it. I think it's fascinating. It makes sense why this potential option for this choice was cut. Definitely, I think that it's a little cowardly that it got cut, but I also think that it would have been a fucking nightmare to plan around. So we'll link that in the show notes. It's an interesting read. It's a good time. That leads us to the Hug House hero Fereldan. Giancarlo, how has your playthrough been going?
It's been going great. It's
Oh,
been going
good.
wonderfully. I've been having such a good time. I am out of Denerim for the time being, so
Okay.
the constant crashes have slowly ceased. And I don't remember if at the end of last episode I had already wrapped up the stuff with Oral Eamon, but we did that. And so then I moved on to doing the Mage's Circle whole thing. And I have really enjoyed this part of the quest. Also, Win is awesome. Win is really cool.
Whoa. Okay,
I like
tell me
Win.
everything.
Yeah, tell me about that because
It's more mechanically than anything because I honestly haven't had the chance to talk to her much. But mechanically, I like having her in the party. She fills a fun niche, and I enjoyed playing with her for the brief time I got to before the stuff happened. But I actually really love this section of the game, which I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts on it were, because I remember so many people in the Twitch chat, every time I like brought up the Mage's Circle, or then even when I was playing it, I had someone in there being like, "Oh yeah, this is the worst part of the game," and I thought it was awesome. I don't know, I really liked it.
Have you gone to the Deep Roads yet?
The Deep Roads.
Oh, you know.
If you don't remember,
okay,
you would.
I have not been to the Deep Roads yet then.
Okay, that's the worst part of the game.
All right.
I'm totally with you. Did you run into a character named Cullen?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
He would have been a Templar there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
He looks like he's got ramen noodles for hair.
He does.
If that helps.
You meet him and he is very much a Templar, and then the shit at the circle goes down, and then he is is traumatized.
Yeah, understandably, given what happens.
I love his writing there, and this character, he shows up for like a blip in this game. He will appear in the next 2 games, and without saying much more, but I think it will be fun to give you this idea now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to preface this by saying that I don't necessarily think that Cullen is a good person, but I think he's an interesting character.
Uh-huh.
I think that this series could be written really fascinatingly with Cullen as the protagonist.
Huh.
I think his perspective and the changes it goes through and the events that he has to witness are fascinating. So don't forget this guy. Moral of the story.
Okay. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was such a fun and like unique quest. Like, yeah, you get a little bit of the classic, like, let's throw 10 of these guys at you. But I guess in case you haven't played it and you're kind of following along, you show up and basically these blood mages have revolted. It's always the blood mages, man.
Of course.
And it's like I'm trying to make a case for them, and then they make me look real bad. You know, Alistair's always there every time blood mages are up to something. But we show up, the blood mages have kind of revolted, and now there are like these demons set loose everywhere, and so first you're trying to get to the people in the tower, because essentially the Templars are like, hey, we gotta nuke the tower, it's not safe, sorry about it. And so of course I show up and I'm like, hey, I do not want you to abandon all the souls trapped in here. I will go in and do it for you. Just promise to help me in the war against the Darkspawn, because it's gonna be worse than this. And so, of course, we go in. That's where you kind of get Win, who, again, mechanically was a fun addition. I have not gotten the chance to converse with her at camp yet. And we head in. We kind of do a little bit of standard fare. I feel like the tower itself is not necessarily the most interesting part, but there are some pretty fun fights. Again, I think turning it down to easy so I can just enjoy the ride of the game more so than the game part of the game has done wonders for my enjoyment of it. But some cool battles, very cool. Like, their abominations are very cool. The demons that you run into, like there's one of the the desire demon's there, and you see this dude who's just like in a trance, and he believes he's in this totally separate world. And it is such an interesting, compelling, like little story moment, decision moment, where like I remember I was like, whoever's watching this, help me, what do I do? Because like the dude is at peace and he's happy, right? But like it's a demon, so your brain is like, oh, you know, demon's supposed to be bad. But also, if he is happy and this is what he wants and he chose this, which the demon says he did, is it really that bad? I don't know. So I kind of let the demon keep him.
Dude, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't know. He looked like he was having a good time, so I let the demon keep him. Anyways, then you kind of fall into the trance and you get sent into the Fade, and it's a really cool section where you have this like circular map, this like concentric circles with the each one being different areas and like memories with different challenges to overcome. And you basically have to work your way inwards towards the sloth demon that is then at the center, kind of controlling all of this. And throughout it, you have the ability to kind of pull your party out of the Fade. And you also unlock new forms. So you can turn into a mouse. You can turn into this kind of like lich-style mage demon thing. You can turn into a fire boy. You can turn into a giant like rock golem. They're very cool. They're very fun to play. Part of me got my hopes up that I would get to keep the forms when I left the Fade. Spoiler alert, you do not. But they were a lot of fun to play. It introduced a lot of really cool like puzzle elements, and I mean, it's not like Metroidvania. This is definitely not a good way to describe it, but like that sort of element where you are backtracking once you unlock new abilities to finish exploring different areas, which I thought was super compelling. It was very I guess like temple-esque in like a Zelda game where I felt the puzzle elements were super engaging. The game doesn't have a ton of puzzles, but the ones it does have, I generally really enjoy.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Like I remember I really loved the kind of platform puzzle where you're kind of trying to set people on different platforms so you can progress through to the end. I can't quite remember when that was, but it stuck out in my mind. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed all of that aspect. It was simple, but it was fun. It was engaging. And then finally you get to the end and we kind of solve the whole problem. And then you get into the final boss fight, which I thought was really engaging as well, because you have these mages that are kind of out of commission. And you have this cool, like, one-use item to basically interrupt the boss's attacks, in which he would kind of raise them and turn them into his thralls, for lack of a better word. I can't remember exactly what the verbiage was. But all in all, like, I think this was one of the cooler quests. Like, I think stuff like maybe like Redcliffe and like Witherfang and all of that maybe had like cooler stories around it. But the exploration of this, I thought, was awesome. I really enjoyed this. I still have my feelings about the Templars and the Mage's Circle. I still think they kind of suck. But it was fun to play through.
Yeah, I really always love the quests that take place in the Fade. They are historically sections that people really don't like. I think they're really fun and really cool. I like the sort of like dreamlike quality of them. I think it's good shit.
Absolutely. Like, even I remember when I did the Mage's Start for one of my incomplete playthroughs. I did not love the Mage's Circle itself as a starting point, but I did love the section in the Fade at the very beginning. I find it pretty compelling.
Well, that's very exciting. This is perfect timing for a conversation today.
It is. I want to check in real quick with where you are with the main quest lines.
I think now all I have left, to my knowledge, is Orzammar, and then to go to war, basically to go confront Loghain, right? So I think I'm nearing the end of this game. It could be that something happens at the battle that is going to be a huge twist and sends us on to like Act 3 of it. I don't know, but to my knowledge, I think we're reaching it.
Yeah. I am excited to hear about your adventures in Orzammar.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because you get to meet my least favorite type of darkspawn.
Uh-oh. No.
Do you know what this is, Will?
Is it?
It's the brood mother.
Oh God.
I never
Okay.
like anything titled brood mother.
Yeah, that's
No.
fair. Honestly, that's correct. That's the right way to think about that. I hate it.
Do you have trypophobia?
I do not.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
That's so great for you. I super do. It was not a good time for me.
Oh no. I can kind of see it in my head despite not knowing anything about it. Like I'm not looking forward to this.
No.
But I am looking forward to seeing how this like ties in then, especially Orzammar having been my origin. Like I kind of purposefully wanted to leave it for the end. I'm curious to see what's going on there and maybe how it would compare to like someone who's not playing a dwarf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be really fun. When you get to Orzammar, there is a character named Dagna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
She is a minor
Dagna.
character with a minor quest. It is extremely important that you do her quest. It's not extremely important in like a real way. It's extremely important to me.
Okay, Dagna.
Dagna. You'll know which quest it is because you'll talk to her and say, "Oh my God, she's perfect," and you'll be right.
Okay, I'm very excited. Oh, a side note for those who were also following along from last week. I mentioned that I had that horn to summon the dragon that I really needed to go use. I did go use it. It was a total waste of time because the dragon was way too strong for me, and
yeah,
it's just to kill the dragon. I guess something happens if you kill the dragon, but I will not be finding that out anytime soon.
In a world of covert culinary criminal coalitions,
Jean-Carlo,
oui chef, reformed criminal and celebrity chef Butch Orson,
prepare the brigade.
oui chef, is dragged back into the dark realm of criminal kitchens.
Behind.
When old rivals threaten his life's work,
Corner!
Butch is brought back.
Hot.
No. For one. Last. Cook.
Open Pandora's oven.
Yes, Chef! John Wick meets Hell's Kitchen in Yes, Chef, a comedic actual play adventure of kooky culinary combat, refried revenge, and untold gastronomic horrors.
And there is just a very tiny, skinny man dripping in brown, black water. And you see this man seems to have just come out of the bathroom. Roll for initiative.
God. John.
And then he comes...
I'm like, what? I'm like, this is a joke. Like, you're kidding. Like, haha. It's so funny. Let's keep playing Yes, Chef. No, he's serious. He's like, roll initiative. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yes, Chef is out now on the Dungeons and Drimbus podcast feed. Butchie, a genuine pleasure to see you.
With that out of the way, Anne, let's talk about magic.
Yeah. So, like we said earlier about Lyrium, they didn't really think too hard about the magic system.
Yeah.
until it was too late. And they just kind of made a bunch of stuff and then realized they had to make it tie together, and didn't think about that. So, I do want to say that I think throughout the whole Dragon Age series, like there's clearly like a canon playable character for each game that the Dragon Age team has. And I think in every game it's a mage.
I am with you on 2 and Inquisition. I don't know if I'm with you on Origins. Sell me on this.
I feel like as a mage, they build so many more things that are unique into that class. They put so much effort into making magic really cool that they can't have intended like for everybody to play a warrior. Like,
but I also think that is sometimes the nature of like magic versus something understandable like combat.
Yeah.
Like I've been working on like our own homebrew TTRPG that is like in development in the background. And so at first, right, like I'm like, oh, here are all these cool like martial features and we're adding them in and it's like, oh yeah, that looks great. And then you're like, okay, cool, let's do magic. And then next thing you know, everyone's like, well, yeah, magic is the way to go. Like, why would I play anything else, you know? Just because there's definitely ways to do it, but I think it's hard.
Right, but I think that's what they did, is they built the martial things, and they're like, yeah, this is cool and fun, and then they were like, magic, and they're like, why would I play anything else except the mage? This is so cool. I get to use blood magic, and I used to get to use this kind of magic, and just go crazy.
I could see your point here. I could see your point here. And I think that if I were going to, novelize these games, I would certainly go with a magic user.
Well, they certainly have novelized it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
True.
And John, did you know there's like 8 Dragon Age novels that talk about other things in the universe and like
I'm
other
aware
characters?
they exist. I have not laid hands on them.
I have them all. I'll have to let you borrow them sometime.
Oh, please do.
I also have the graphic novels too, which certainly says some things about their canon universes. Certainly the series that covers Fenris. Like, hello? There's some decisions you can make in Dragon Age 2 that like would make these novels non-existent.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically I think the team really loves magic, but not enough to put the effort into making it make sense. So, or rather they're trying to do that now and realizing it doesn't work going back over 15 years of development.
Yeah.
Sounds simple.
Yeah, so basically, let's talk about the magic system and like what it is. It comes from the Fade, which is the spirit realm where humans, Kunari, and elves go when they dream, not dwarves. They cannot be mages. This is because they have prolonged exposure to lyrium underground, which gives them a natural immunity to magic, but not, you can use magic against them, but they are immune to having it, which is not really what immunity means, but thanks, Dragon Age.
We're allergic? We're magic intolerant?
Yeah. Surface dwarves lose their immunity to it over time, but no dwarves have ever had magic, ever, still. Okay, thanks. The Dragon Age wiki says, no dwarf has ever been known to wield magic. Okay?
I would argue that this is a semantic difference, but that's fine.
Okay, what's the semantic difference? What is it?
What is having magical ability anyway?
They mean natural born with magical ability. Not you touched a magic orb.
Because that's not lyrium. That's orbium.
John, this is all going to make way more sense when you get to Orzammar.
Yeah, so dwarves can't connect with the Fade, apparently. So, as you'll notice, you've been to the Fade as a dwarf character. So, like, they lost the plot already.
It was the first one.
They lost the plot already.
How wild would it be if, like, you play all of Origins, you're like getting there, you make it to the Mage's Circle, and the game just ends because you can't go into the Fade.
You can't go. Like, your companions go on this quest without you, and you're just like standing there, and you're like, well, how'd that adventure go, guys? I stood here watching over your bodies while you were in the Fade.
Just having a really awkward conversation with Cullen.
Yeah, just fighting all the blood mages and hanging out with Cullen. So, in the Dragon Age lore, in the well-known lore of the Circle, and the Chantry, the Fade was created by the Maker. Like, okay. That's like God saying, like you say God created the world. You know, some people believe that. Is that what really happened?
Mm-hmm.
You can't physically enter it. But you, or can you?
Right.
They lose the plot so quickly. Like everything I was reading about this, it's like, you can't do this. Unless they decide it would be really cool to do this.
Yeah.
So that's essentially how the Darkspawn started and the Blight. We talked about that, I think, in like one of the first episodes. Tevinter Magisters wanted to physically enter the Fade, and their punishment was that they got turned into Darkspawn. Cool. Thanks, guys. Don't physically enter the Fade unless that's relevant later games. So there's lots of types of magic. There's 4 main ones: creation, entropy, primal, and spirit. There's a bunch of different kinds of magic that they've invented that are listed, but they're only in like one game. So it's like, well, this is so okay. So it's not really a type of magic. You know, we could go through them all, but basically they're all subsets of the main 4. But they don't cover that. And then there's 2 other types of magic that have no connection to the Fade. So you can become a mage or have magic without Fade access, which is blood magic and blight magic. Blight magic comes from Darkspawn. Blood magic comes from blood. And you don't have to be a mage to access that, apparently, which is terrifying. But
I see you have a note here.
I
that
do have a
says,
note here.
Will, what do all these magics sound like?
Yeah,
And to that I say, I will sound design all of what I think these magics should sound like.
Perfect.
They will
I love
only
you.
be in the Patreon version of this episode.
Perfect.
As well,
I love it.
A quick confession I have to make about something in Valence.
Uh-oh. So there's 4 schools of magic. Mentioned them before. Creation is the first one. It's also known as nature. It feels like it's pretty self-explanatory. You manipulate natural forces. You transform them. You know, it's pretty cool. It's the one a lot of people like because it's chill. Entropy is the opposing force of it. And I really love the codex description for this one. It's written by some guy named Josephus. And it really is absolutely nothing. Like all the codex entries for these 4 schools of magic describe what they are, except this one just says, nothing lives without death. Time inevitably brings an end to all things in the material world. And yet, in this ending, is the seed of a beginning. A river may flood its banks, causing havoc, but bring new life to its floodplain. The fire that burns a forest ushers in new growth. And so it is with entropic magic that we manipulate the forces of erosion, decay, and destruction to create anew. It's like, okay.
Somebody took one philosophy class and then found some elf fruit. Shut up, Josephus.
Yeah. He went really well in the other 3, and then just kind of was high when he wrote this one, I guess. I don't know. Waxing poetic on here. Yeah, so we've got primal magic, which is power and energy. It's magic used in war, fire, ice, lightning.
This is my shit.
That's your shit. It's what most people imagine when they hear magic.
Yeah.
You know. And then the last one is spirit energy. Josephus describes it as the school of mystery.
Sure,
okay. And it covers, you know, the direct manipulation of mana and the summoning of spirits. And it's often misunderstood or confused for blood magic, because you summon spirits, but for good things. But summoning spirits is bad, except it's not. So... ...
Unless...
Riddle me this, Chantry.
It's chill conjuration.
It's chill conjuration where you're summoning, like, good spirits, except that good spirits can get corrupted pretty easily, and that's why people accidentally become blood mages. Blood magic is the last school, but it's the forbidden school, so they don't like to tell people about it, except everybody knows about it. You just had a pretty big experience with it, Giancarlo.
Yeah. You know what? I'm all for democratizing blood magic. That's all I'm going to say.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of blood magic use in this game. In these games.
Yeah.
They try to make it seem like it's terrible and evil, except the Grey Warden joining is blood magic. So everybody does blood magic and everybody's chill with it unless they decide they're not. So cool, great, amazing, I love that. You can only play as a blood mage in Origins and Dragon Age 2. Does anyone have any guess on why you can't use it in Dragon Age Inquisition?
Because you're inquisiting?
No, because it would be too hard to animate. They decided because it requires a lot more reactivity than the other specializations, it would be too hard for them to do. So once again, Inquisition suffers because they use the Frostbite engine. I have some notes here on where blood magic comes up in all the games, but I don't think we need to go into it because it is kind of spoilery.
Yeah.
Except that it comes up a lot, and it comes up in a lot of conflicting ways from game to game.
Yes.
And in bonus content and additional content that people wouldn't even know about unless they played every single expansion pack for every Dragon Age game.
Question, are they good? Because I do have the expansions included with mine.
I have never played them.
Any of them?
No. Except for Trespasser.
Okay. Wow. I played all of them except one of them for Dragon Age 2, which has a pretty big significance in the canonical Dragon Age fucking universe.
Of course you missed that one.
Yeah, I was so mad. I was like, this did not happen in my game. This did not happen. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's not what happened.
Yeah, make sure to play the DLC.
All right.
Will, you commented on one of my headings, maybe?
Yeah, your heading for the next section is something that we absolutely have to talk about. I was wondering if it was going to be in here. It is maybe the single section of lore that makes me the most uncomfortable in the whole game.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's like genuinely fucked up. And it's on purpose.
We're talking about the Tranquil, which is mages whose connection to the Fade has been severed so that they can no longer draw on the Fade to do magic because magic comes from the Fade, right?
But what makes this fucked up...
Well, how is it fucked up?
...is the side effect. So you have written here, emotional center is also removed, making them undesirable to be possessed by demons. But I think, we need to kind of go into what that means. Being made tranquil, which is a procedure, it doesn't just cut off your connection to the Fade. I would argue, kind of lobotomizes you.
Yep.
It makes you docile. You have no emotions. You don't really have any, it kind of it makes you into a robot. It's really fucked up.
It's so messed up. I understand so much why mages are terrified of this.
Yes.
It truly is the thing that I only have the experience with them in Origins, obviously, but it's the kind of thing where I'm like, man, if you had given me the option, a little collect 'em all side quest to somehow undo this for all of them, I would not be able to not do it every time I saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that so it's made it so that the way the Chantry talks about the being made tranquil and the Circle of Magi, they talk about it like it's permanent, except that it's not, and nobody tells anybody how to do this. They don't tell you that it's curable, because it was originally developed by the Inquisition and their seekers to empty themselves of emotion except faith, and when they reach true mental peace, it's undone. They undo it. But when the Seekers then taught the Circle of Magi how to do it to avoid like the execution of dangerous mages, they didn't tell them how to reverse it. So now nobody knows how to reverse it.
Super cool. Super cool.
Which
Love
is
to
super
see
cool.
it.
Except it's really easy. It's really easy. All you have to do is summon a spirit, and if a spirit touches a Tranquil's mind, then they're cured.
Jeez.
That's it. That's it. And as we covered earlier, spirit magic is cool as long as you're summoning a good spirit. What? It's so fucked up. It's so messed up.
This is basically how the Circle and the Chantry and the Templars keep Circle mages in line. Like, if you step out of line, there is the threat that you will be made tranquil. And again, like, more or less lobotomized. It's really horrific.
Yeah.
I think that whole storyline is also what makes the mage's start to Origins one of the most compelling, because you have the details are a little fuzzy to me, but you have the guy who's trying to escape because he's already been sentenced to become a Tranquil, I believe.
Good old
right?
Jowen.
Yeah. Wait, the same Jowen? No.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Jowen, you fuck up.
Yeah. Yep. The one who he poisons Arl Aemon.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Now I really want to know how that interaction goes if you had done that start.
Poorly.
The
way that the the threat of being made tranquil is kind of taken away is that mages go through this test called the harrowing in the Circle, and it's how mage apprentices become a full member of the Circle. There are some key points about this. They aren't told in advance what the test is, what they'll need to do, or when they'll be made to take it. They are taken without warning in late adolescence or early adulthood. So you can imagine like being, like 16 or 17-year-old, being taken without warning when you've always been threatened with being made tranquil, to have some mystery test done where people often die and don't come back, or they're made tranquil.
Bad.
That's terrifying. So no wonder why people fail it a lot. Like, no wonder it goes badly. And the process is actually that the apprentice's hand is submerged in lyrium to project their mind into the Fade. Then they're made to face a demon that wants to possess them. And the demon is one that's summoned by Circle mages. Now, do we remember how summoning demons is bad? They do this on purpose all the time to test kids on whether they could resist a demon. Like, can you imagine summoning some desire demon on a 17-year-old boy? Like, that's gonna end poorly. I don't know. And not only do they just get killed outright if they're overwhelmed by the demon, if they just take too long, the Templars that are surrounding them during this process just kill them.
Yeah.
So you go in, you're on a time limit, you're gonna die, you're magically made to face a demon without knowing in advance that this was going to happen. You can't be prepared for it.
Man, it sucks that magic is so cool in this world, but everything surrounding it is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
This is why I like Morgan. I need more just random witches from the woods in charge of things.
Apostate mages all the way. Love them. Their hands are submerged in lyrium. Let's talk about lyrium. This is the lyrium problem. What did David Gator say? If you create a thing that does too many things, it now becomes the thing that does everything. Yeah, so lyrium is naturally a mineral that's formed below the surface. Dwarves have a secret process for mining it and processing it into less dangerous forms. If you touch unrefined lyrium, you'll just straight up die. Which is super fun, I guess.
Yeah.
And also it sometimes just explodes.
As you do.
Lyrium. Sometimes it just blows up. It exists on both the mortal world and in the Fade. You can drink it in its liquid form, and it boosts your magic ability, which...
How does that work?
And
How does that
also
work?
sometimes explodes.
And also sometimes explodes, and also sometimes will just kill you if you touch it. Right, exactly. Yeah, you could just... I don't know how that works. They don't know how it works, Will.
No, they
No,
don't.
they just decided this is how it would work.
Well, it's processed, and that's enough of an answer.
Yeah, they process it, and that's it.
Now I want like a really badly, or not badly animated, but like original graphics, Dragon Age Origins, a recreation of the "This is not meth" scene from Breaking Bad, but with lyrium.
So, drinking it strengthens your relation to the Fade and boosts your mana. Drinking it also sends mages into the Fade fully aware.
Mm-hmm.
But not always, because sometimes it just boosts your mana, right?
Right.
But sometimes you go into the Fade. So, like, I guess if you just drink too much...
Well, it's like getting drunk, right? Like there are levels, right?
If you drink a little bit, you get tipsy, but if you drink too much, you're just like, whoa.
You're in the Fade.
We've gone too far.
I'm never touching lyrium again.
Yeah. And we've only talked about what happens when mages drink lyrium. What happens when a not mage drinks lyrium? Will they get magic powers? And become Templars. They become magic cops, essentially, is what happens. So Templars, which I have in my notes with an angry face after them because they're magic cops, and
yes,
all cops are bad, including Templars.
A-tab.
Templars were originally the Inquisition. Fun fact. They were trained to counter and deny magic. Cool. They are often recruited as teenagers or children and given rigorous training in monastic refuges, segregated from everyday society.
Normal.
So they take kids and they brainwash them into hating magic.
Normal.
Do they offer to pay for college?
Well, technically, you're in the mages' college.
Oh, that's true. You're in the mage... technically?
They got books there.
You have to take a vow upon knighthood whenever they decide you're ready to defend the faith and serve the maker. And then they give you lyrium to drink, and that gives you the power to block magic. But the thing is, much like alcohol and drugs, it's highly addictive. So if you stop using lyrium after a long time, you go through withdrawal and lose access to your powers. So it's widely thought in the universe that Templars are purposefully made dependent on it to keep them complicit.
Love it.
Because the Chantry controls the supply of lyrium you get.
Because it's literally a cult.
Yeah. And then the lyrium problem comes up again.
Yep.
Because notable Templars are Alistair, Cullen, that we talked about, and then the Knight Commander of that tower, Gregor. And then those are notable members in Origins. There's others, but we'll get to them.
Oh, yeah.
But David Gator has stated in interviews that Alistair has not taken lyrium and didn't complete his vows.
Yep.
But Alistair has Templar powers in the game, just for fun. Because they were they lost the plot so quickly. They're like, this is how you get Templar powers, but we're just going to give them to Alistair anyway.
Yeah.
Every point along we're in Origins. We're in the first game.
Yeah.
Question. Obviously, I don't know how the game ends or anything, but do we know if it was always intended to become a series, or if Dragon Age was like just Dragon? Well, with a name like Origins, I have to imagine it was always part of the plan.
Well, it's called Origins because of the different origins.
Right. Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
It's called Origins because of the origins, but
I believe it was always intended to be a series.
Yeah, you see, sometimes you can give them a little more leniency if it's like, well, they didn't know they were gonna do more, but
Don't give them leniency.
It doesn't matter if they didn't know they were going to do more. They counter their own points from this same game.
Yeah.
Dwarves can't connect to the Fade, except they do. You have to drink lyrium to become a Templar and have Templar powers, except Alistair doesn't, and he has the powers.
Remember in one of our first episodes when I said that David Gator wrote 1.5 million words?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you do that.
Because your brain can't remember 1.5 million words.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, magic is a lot, and it's a hot mess, and it counteracts itself all the time.
Perfect.
As any good magic system does.
As any good magic system does. I think this is why magic can't exist in real life, because there's just no way to make sense of it without coming up with 1 million plot holes.
Well, right, once it makes too much sense, then it's just tech.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move on to our fanfic challenge?
Ooh. Okay, so last time we recorded, you gave me a mission to find something about Witherfang.
Yes.
Who is he's the werewolf, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I did a little bit of searching. There's not many stories with Witherfang. There are, in fact, 13 on AO3.
Okay.
And I've picked out 2 that I will talk about. The first one is less of a fanfic. It's posted on AO3. It's art. I keep finding these in the Dragon Age fandom, and I really like them. This one was posted in 2013.
Sweet.
And it's a painting of the Brazilian forest, and they have an image description that goes to it that's super beautiful.
Wow. I love that.
It's so nice. And I'll read the first sentence of it. It says, soft autumnal twilight blends a progression of blue, brown, and green with dashes of white into woodland shot from afar. The whole paragraph that describes the image is like that. And I just love that they put that much effort into an image description, because
that's lovely.
It makes it so accessible to someone and really explains the beauty of the image. So yeah, we'll link that. And it's by the creator of it is Epsilon Sean. And
Cute.
We'll
Good
link
name.
that. And I usually don't share the names of the fics or the creators of them, but people need to see this one because it's really pretty. I just put the link in our notes doc so you 2 can open it up and look at it.
Oh yeah, that's really pretty.
It is. It's got a silhouette of a person in the sky, and it's oh yeah, what the heck? There's just so much going on with it, and that their image description describes everything that's going on with it in such beautiful writing is just really nice, and I like to see
it's
that.
really pretty.
Everyone leave a kudos.
Yeah. The creator's going to be so confused at why they're getting kudos in 2023. I posted this 10 years ago. What is going on?
We liked it, okay? So your prompt for next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Giancarlo, what are you thinking? Anything on your mind?
I kind of want something that heavily features lyrium, not it's there at the beginning. I want something where lyrium's the central theme.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll try to find something in Origins with a central theme of lyrium.
Perfect.
Okay. Maybe somebody's written something about Alistair never taking lyrium but getting Templar powers anyway. I hope somebody's written about that, because that would be a really interesting plot line to follow. Explain this one. Explain their plot hole, please.
He's never taken lyrium, but a radioactive lyrium crystal bit him.
So I actually do think that there is a pretty direct way this could kind of be explained. It would have to fuck with the whole magic system of the world, but as we've seen, that
they've
does
already
not
fucked
matter.
with it.
And it has to deal with Alistair's mom.
Oh, yeah, okay. I could see, yeah, but...
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Mm-hmm.
There goes Flemeth, always meddling and everything.
Oh my god, that would be... Hold up.
The implications of that would make more sense
Yes,
than Alistair's actual mom.
Oh god, okay.
Okay, now for this week, since I took over, I have chosen our dragon that we must age.
Yay.
I'm so excited.
I've put a link in the document. If you can tell me, what's that dragon age?
Ooh. That's a beautiful dragon. This is 4007.
I love that.
I think it's 94.
94?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow. Wait, what about you?
Oh, me? I didn't think of an age because I just think it's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
So pretty. It's like, can you describe what this dragonage?
It's like a copper dragon almost. It has like copper underbelly and wings with these kind of golden scales along the top and a blue, much more organic looking sort of head with also like white and blue claw. It looks it's one of those like two-legged and then long tail type dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And it is perched atop rocks in an animated flowing river. There are branches with ducks, and I can't tell if they're butterflies or flowers. I think they're butterflies.
Could be both. Who
Very
knows?
pretty.
It is. It's kind of in like an old like tapestry art style almost.
Yeah.
Like you took it out of like a ancient manuscript that was hand gilded and drawn or something. And I saw it on Tumblr and I was like, this is really pretty.
It's so nice. It's a GIF, but the only thing animated is the water that's coming like towards you.
Yeah.
It's very like, it's like really classy early internet is how I would describe this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's lovely.
Is that why it's 94?
Yeah.
Like, this is from 1994. This would have been on somebody's website.
Absolutely.
I would have
been on
had
the
this
corner of my
on-
MySpace.
Yeah, I was gonna say it would have been on my Neopets profile.
Totally.
This is the header on my Neopets shop where I only sell plushies. Like, oh god.
And with that, I think that wraps us up for this episode. You can find us at hughouse.productions and at Act Fereldan on Tumblr. You can find the dragon that we aged on our Tumblr or on our website.
Yeah, you can email us at actfereldan@hughouse.productions.
And you can send us questions, topic requests, fanfic challenges, or dragons to age. You can watch Giancarlo play Dragon Age at twitch.tv/Whimsic Productions, always linked in the show notes. And do we have a topic for next week? Next episode?
I don't know.
I think we should do Orzammar.
I was gonna say, do we want to do something Orzammar?
Yeah, because we hopefully by next episode you'll have played through Orzammar, right?
Yeah. I hope so.
Perfect. Well, until next time, don't do lyrium, kids. Stay in school.
This is your brain. This is your brain on lyrium.
God.